Uh-huh. Yeah, it's almost we have fit almost a full year of events into like what is it, 3, 4 months? Yep. Mhm. Yeah. think I think I want to start a bit lighter because I have a feeling the conversation with Fletcher is going to be comparatively heavy because that's a lot of stress. Yeah. Yeah, patting him on the head. I know it's rough, buddy. This may be. Can we start with some of the stuff that happens throughout, like with the cutscene stuff? Yeah. 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 She's the one standing in front of the bleachers with the megaphone, shouting out the instructions for the cheer. Yeah. Mhm. I don't have many thoughts. I do really like imagining her as the cheer mom. She's bringing snacks for everybody. I like to imagine whoever is like taking her spots in the routine, she's like giving them tips. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I remember. Ah. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yippee! I get money. Monies is monies. I like to imagine that whenever Flynn got sat at the front when she was first expecting to be running around, she was a little huffy. But then she realized she could do puzzle solving and also talk to a bunch of people about books. And now she's just content. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this feels like the rough equivalent of you did something head ass at a store, so now that store has a sign up that's like no blah 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 allowed, and now you work at that store. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Oh, wow. I like to think that at some point, whenever they're talking about Giselle's mom, Felyn asks her like what kind of foods or snacks she likes and if she knows what snacks Mina's mom's like. I don't know, maybe I'll send them a gift basket. Yeah. Memories. Yeah. Yippee! For a minute. Until next time. Mhm.
Uh, but like, because Motiva set it up when it was like a Sean, and we've talked a little bit about this, so I would love to talk with you about this more. But a lot of this month actually is setting up that club. Because when club signups first happened, um, like you guys were in the middle of extraction, right? Uh, and so this month is kind of like you guys actually turning it into something. And you guys are very busy and you guys have a lot of stuff going on. But you guys have a lot of control over like what you think that looks like, whether it's just a scheduled time to like hang out and connect with people, uh, other planeswalkers getting a chance to like talk about stuff that's going on, whether it's like survival like teachings, whether it's like combat focused like it was last year. Like you guys have a lot of control over what you guys think that looks like, and I am really like excited about that. I think it would be really fun potentially to yoink Ash in here after the mini session to talk really in depth, but I'd love you to talk a little bit about what you think Felyn would kind of contribute to that. Because in particular, I love hearing Felyn's role as a planeswalker who is still an ember. You know what I mean? I think it's a really important perspective.
Yeah. I think I don't think Flynn will be doing much like physical training.
Of course.
At least for right now. But I do think she would like having like roundabout talks with other planeswalkers and like helping people explore questions that they have about themselves or about what the other planeswalkers have experienced. And I think like a share circle almost, where she like shares what they experienced trying to get people who sparked.
Using that as kind of like a taking from it, like as an example, we really needed to know like these things, or these are the ways that people were kind of able to protect themselves, that sort of thing. That's a really, really cool angle.
Yeah. I think she also would have a little bit of a focus of talking about like how planeswalkers are viewed or treated as from what they've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think she tries to keep the topic very like hopeful, because I feel like whenever you talk about planeswalkers, and especially planeswalkers across the multiverse, that could get real sad real fast.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But I think she tries to keep a hopeful view of it, of like, this is how it has been. It is not how it has to be for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think back whenever they met Huatli and her girlfriend and seeing their
Yeah.
house together, that is like a really core moment for Felyn in regards to how she feels about being a planeswalker, because that was proof to her that like we can be happy and have like normal-ish lives.
Yeah. And I think that is really like important because like there's not really anything you guys can do to change that you're planeswalkers. It is just figuring out what your life is going to look like. And I think honestly having met like elder planeswalkers that are not just these like omnipotent um figures that are like mentor figures or like untouchable, because like even like Liliana, Vraska, Jace, all of them feel kind of untouchable even though they are people. I think meeting Huatli and Saheeli was like really formative. I just had a really cool idea. Hold on, I'm writing it down. This is
I
for
also
the
had an
future.
idea.
Of the future.
The
You can definitely say it
future.
if you want to say it.
I listen. I don't know the technicalities of this.
Mm.
I think it would be fun if Felyn tried to get like Huatli or Saheeli or other planeswalkers that the gang has met and get them to be like guest speakers.
I literally was
at
about
the
to say that too.
club.
I think that they should come
Yeah.
and see the babies. I think that would be so fun. I think that idea is really, really fun. We can definitely write that down because I think that would be really, really cool. Because like I just think a lot about that moment, and I'm really glad that it stuck out to you guys, because I think that like humanizing your experience is what's gonna be nicest, because you guys have had a lot of really unfortunate wake-up calls because you guys are so new to this, which is like I think technically unavoidable, but it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Okay, cool. I'm writing all of this down. I'm gonna talk with Ash also about this. I would love to get us all together and talk about it. But something that I think you would notice from Ashawn in this, I've mentioned this before, that like Ashawn post extraction has kind of like mellowed out in a lot of aspects and become very gone from being against the group to being very for the group. I feel like he's very attentive and integrated to the Planeswalker group now, for better or for worse. But I think because his perspective is like one of the Planeswalkers that has experienced ignition, I think that he is a little bit in people's business about it, and kind of how they're doing. To varying degrees of success, I think. I don't think anything super bad has happened in just a month of this happening, but I think it is something that you kind of pick up on. You know?
Yeah.
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 Hell yeah. That's about all I had written for your extracurriculars. But I think that they're very formative because you have a lot of them. So you spend a lot of your time coming to them basically every day.
Yeah.
So next, what we have on the docket of these kind of like more overarching conversations to have before we get into like the one-on-one talks is we have to talk a little bit about you kind of getting ready. And I imagine you're visiting home a lot more. Or if you aren't, your family is like, why haven't I seen you in 3 days?
She's absolutely visiting home more.
Good. Because I have actually been like thinking about how like you would have been getting like a lot of. So Den's alright. Is not unaccustomed to supporting a den mate having children, right? Obviously, Dusk and Dawn were just born, and they're doing great. I'll talk more about them in a minute. But there is this kind of understanding that once you have egg and then have baby, it's not like you're immediately coming home and then going to be in that super supported position. So it's a lot of them being like, do you have this? I got you this. Take this with you. And it's a lot of like giving you things and being really like, again, kind of like in your business about like what you're going to do about it. And it's not that they think you can't do well. It's because they want to make sure that like everything is, that you have everything that you could need. And you're really busy. So it's like, making sure that like you don't forget, and it's like we have to make sure that we know that you have all of the things that you're gonna need because you're so busy and you're about to have egg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think with that?
I think it's very fun. I think Felyn is very quickly running out of room in her dorm.
100%, because you have the smallest dorm on campus.
Yeah, I have a triangle.
Literally. But it's very cute to me, and I think that because of that, if there are items you want to say that you have, this is separate from baby shower stuff. You're gonna get actual like monetary items when you get to the point of people giving you things for it. But from like your den mates, if there is like items that you want to say you have, whether they be from like adventuring gear on Pathfinder or like even just like I have this thing, you're allowed to just tell me you have that thing because of how loosely we do inventory. I know in particular that like Motiva, despite not being as close to having her stuff happen as you, is like, I have a bag. I have like wheels. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So feel free to think about that. And if you're ever interested, I love how you did like Felyn's dorm in like The Sims. I would love to like talk about it, and I could make like a little map on my little dungeon draft and stuff. I think that would be really cute.
Yeah.
And my thing also about visiting home. This is something that I was really excited about. So Dusk and Dawn, I love them. Little changeling twins. Little dough babies. They are starting to get very doughy, which I think is really cute. Most notably, we can have more in-depth interactions with these two if you would like to check in on them, or if you have specific things you want to talk to them about. But Neve comes home with you fairly often, actually. And Will does as well. Most notably, I bring that up in relation to the changeling babies, is because you are used to the idea of, as like a changeling getting older and getting to the point of recognizing the people around them, like mimicking their features. And so you see a lot of features from your den, but you also start to see features from them.
Aww.
Because Will is like actively trying to take a part in like babysitting. I think I've told you this. Will is about to be like really involved as a co-parent, which I think is really cute.
Yeah.
But Nefei also likes kids. Nefei is like used to a really big full house. So even though Nefei isn't outright like, yeah, that's like my god niece, like if Nefei is over and the baby is around, like she acts really well with them, which I think is really cute. Especially because I think a month ago you would have never anticipated Nefei becoming like an active part of like your den or your home. But she seems very comfortable here, which I think is really cute.
Yeah. Careful, Nefay, you're about to become the fucking den member, whether you like it or not.
Literally. Don't worry, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I think a lot about how Nefay is really family oriented, but of the planeswalkers, Nefay has actually not visited home. Or if she has, it's been very rarely. So I just think it's really interesting.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I started looking into the middle distance and thinking about Nefay and her family and Kaladesh. This is too big. We have to bring it in. That's for later.
That's for later.
That's for later. I have a question for you for Felyn.
Yes.
One of the last, this is technically starting to kind of like encroach on another thing, but since a lot of these things kind of deal with the same thing, which is kind of like your changing life and your changing family, then I think this technically applies. So I really want to like ask, the last time we had a really serious conversation with Eleni, it was very specifically on the fact that they still felt a bit of anxiety within themselves, not anything to do with you or your family, but about meeting your family, right? Do you think Felyn feels any particular way about that, or does anything of note with that information like throughout this month? Even if it is like her getting upset about it, that's a very valid thing to like talk about. I'm just really like curious.
Yeah. I think she definitely does, especially considering it's getting closer and closer to egg time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's upset about it, because I think she can kind of glean why. Like, the idea of families being stressful for Eleni right now makes a lot of sense to Felyn.
Mm-hmm.
I do think she will bring it up in a conversation with them, essentially just being very frank, like, I would really like you to meet my family before the egg is here. I understand that that might be stressful. You do not have to. Is there anything that could make it easier, perhaps?
I think by the time you bring it up, Eleni is not quite so cagey about the conversation being brought up, which I think again speaks for how you're very understanding about the situation. And also, I don't talk about this a ton, but it is something that I think is very omnipresent. So I would like you to know, I guess. Eleni feels very safe with Felyn in a way that I think is very poignant, because even with people that we trust, I feel like sometimes there's still those things of oh, they might get upset, or they might do this, or they might do that, or even the tried and true, even though we've been together for 5 million years, you hate me and you're gonna leave me, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. Those things don't really pass Eleni's mind. I think that it's almost I hate comparing Eleni sometimes to animalistic things, because I don't think that they're simple like that, but I think it's literally in a way of they can't conceive of you doing something that would upset or hurt them.
Aww.
Which is really cool to me, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. But
yeah.
On that note, in this conversation, there's almost they expected the conversation to come up at some point. And I actually do think that, because I get to tell you, because Eleni was going to talk to you about this themselves, so that's what's really fun about this. They would kind of impart onto you, almost in a way of saying it, right? Separate from their feelings on it, that I think that they would ask very specifically if you want them to meet them before, like as like a capital B before, like that would be your preference?
I think for Felyn it would be, just because normally if she was dating someone for this long, like even when she would just start dating someone, she would want to bring them home to the family. So this is already a very long time for her to not have brought her partner into the home.
I think the
And she's
den
about to
picks
have
up on
egg.
that as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So she's itching to go. She ultimately is like, I will respect whatever boundaries you have. This is not an end all be all. I would really like it to happen.
Yeah, 100%. I get to tell you, I think that, because I think Eleni also brings this up as a way for like you, Felyn, not just you, Sarah, to know that they were thinking about talking about this, is that they have kind of been thinking about it, because I think like this idea, sometimes whenever Eleni first like came back, there was like this like bubble, almost this like social bubble of just like them and you, and that has like slowly been expanding as they've been like back at school and like becoming a bit more, I say involved, but a bit more involved with like Will, a bit more involved with like Eleni, like trying to connect with like Aurora again, you know, that sort of thing. Like it's kind of like growing and growing past just like y'all in like a little nest almost.
Yeah.
So I think that Eleni mentions that like they have been thinking about that, like they can't stay like that, I guess is the best way to articulate it. But what they would bring up, which was their idea, was like the idea of meeting them essentially like at the same time as like you bringing the, they would articulate it as child, but egg, you know what I mean? And I think that the emotion that's kind of imparted on this, they've been very careful not to like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think the emotion that they kind of impart to like support that idea is the idea of like almost like taking pressure off of them, because it's not them as the center of attention of that moment. It would be the baby.
Yeah. I definitely think Felyn can get behind that. I think that's something she is more than willing to do.
Nice. That wasn't Eleni, but I'm just like, I just think it's really cute. I think that they're very relieved about it. I think you get the feeling that they were already kind of like entertaining the idea that that might have been too long. You know what I mean? So I think the fact that you are like, that is like more than fine, I'm okay with that, I think is really relieving to them.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why it's relieving to Felyn is because, one, technically that's not that far off at this point. And two, there's now like a day within sight where she's bringing her partner home to the family.
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole big thing. It's gonna be a whole shebang.
I like to imagine. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I like to imagine after they have that conversation, whenever she goes to visit home again, like over the week, she'll have conversations with everybody in the den, just letting them know that like Elena is going to come see everyone and introduce themselves, but we cannot overwhelm them. You will focus on the egg.
This is such an important conversation, because your family are, they're like, because they're kind of like a more casual and, like, for lack of a better way to word it. They're a bit like lower on the class scale, right? They are very like, they're very talkative, they're very warm, they're very welcoming, and that can be very, I am in your face, all of us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I do think that a lot of people kind of like accept it. Some people with a little bit of like scoff and rolling eyes, not mad, just like a, oh, we're not gonna be too much. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
but the fact that like the idea is imparted to them, they take well in stride, and because it is again folded kind of like into the family getting to basically like meet a new member, right?
Yeah.
There there's gonna be a planned party. There has to be, right? But like
Oh yeah. Oh
because
yeah.
of that, it'll be like probably a lot of smaller talks instead of people being like, everybody, here's my lover, and this is like the main event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be really fun to plan. Oh, I love Dance Alright a lot.
Wow. Of family.
Family. Hell yeah. That's about all I had for Den stuff. If there's anything you want to throw in there, by all means. But that also folded in kind of like what Elaney is doing, what Nefay and Will are doing. I do think I might have mentioned this a while ago. I don't know if I did, so I'll bring it up again. Elaney and Nefay are still roommates at Prismari because of the way that Prismari dorms work. I actually think that like what they're gonna do is actually, because it comes with like a twin room and then a studio that you share. I actually think that they're basically gonna have the studio be like Elaney's room, so they actually both have like a bigger room.
Ooh.
That's like a studio bedroom vibe, which I think is really fun.
Yeah.
So Elaney will also have room in their room for baby stuff.
I was just gonna say Felyn is gonna start doing the fucking girlfriend thing of I'm just gonna leave some of my stuff at your house.
Literally, you have to. You're a quadrix.
Yeah. So this is taking up room in the common room on my floor. That can't be happening.
Can't. Everybody sits there, please.
Please.
I love that. That's really cute. That's really fun. Putting this out there, no one on your floor will be mad at you if you have mom stuff on the common room. This is just Felyn being like, I can't be like this.
I can't be like this. I know they don't care, but it's taking up space. We don't have a lot of that.
I have another question for you that I think is a really fun question, because it would be coming from Elaney. But this also means that I kind of get to like touch base on your thoughts on the situation. So, Strixhaven, this is a big world, and you guys are connected to a lot of people, right? And because of that, the scope kind of narrows and expands as like we need it, right? And a lot of times it's like we have our tighter circle, and then we have like people that we connect with and reconnect with, so on and so forth. I think that Elaney brings this up, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it. But Elaney is actually like expressing interest in revisiting Ixalan.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We
Yeah.
get to see our two favorite lesbians. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we also have to.
Yeah, because I had to actually bring up the
Yeah.
other two. Your favorite double pair of lesbians, because there's the Planeswalker ones and then the vampire ones. But I wanted to ask, what do you think Felyn feels about that situation? Because again, because things keep happening, there's like priorities shift and change. So like, I wonder, what does she think about that? Give me your thoughts. I think.
For her, because she like actively, essentially promised or like made a deal with them that like we're gonna get home and settle, and then I'll come back to get you for a tour. She's like, I have to do that.
I gave
We've
my
recovered. I have to do that. So I think she'd rather do it sooner than later. I think at this point it's... I can't remember if she already got the like permission or not to bring both of the lesbians, or if they would only allow the planeswalker lesbian.
I think that you've gotten permission to bring them on campus. I don't remember if we've had the talk about them both actually joining if Renata comes in. But I'll probably have that maybe be like an actual big scene on the next like real session, just to see how you guys word it and talk about it, or like if you have to like buy a favor essentially, you know what I mean?
Slay.
Yeah. Especially because like there technically was like Giselle had a little bit of difficulty finding where her mom was gonna stay, bringing her to Arcavios. So it's like I just want to make it reflect how difficult it would be, you know.
Ooh, actually.
Yeah.
Because she's gonna be bringing both of them on the tour. I think she would ask Giselle if she'd be willing to join her on giving them a tour, because Giselle has experience of bringing a non-planeswalker here.
That's a really good idea. She is also a Dampier, so I think that could be really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good. I'm writing that down also. I'm writing down basically every good idea we have, and I'm like, write this down, write this down.
Write it down, write it down.
Okay, cool. I have that written down. I like that a lot. I also think that will open the conversation for, like, if you guys visit Ixalan, probably as its own thing, either just y'all two or as a group, paving the way for maybe Huatli and Sahili to come visit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which would be so fun. Hell yeah. Slay. Nice. Hell yeah. I think that Eleni sounds very interested. I think Eleni is very, like, interested also in the fact that, like, oh yeah, we have to go get those two. This is also something that's really fun that I like bringing up. Eleni was partially conscious and aware in the water on Ixalan. So, like, they don't know everything, but they knew that there were people with them, and they knew that they were kind of, like, cared for. Which are kind of like the two biggest things of like, I want to go back. I kind of am interested. You know what I mean? So that's really fun.
Yeah. We're gonna go back to Ixalan. We're gonna have a fucking road trip from place to place.
That one that's actually like fun.
Yeah, where we are not worrying about the life and or death of a friend and partner.
Literally. So that's really fun. I like that.
Yeah, a fucking leisure cruise down the river this time.
Because you guys still have your boat. You guys got to pick up your boat.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Leisure cruise. Leisure river cruise. Ixalan edition. Swag. Okay, cool. Slay. That is basically all I have for the kind of like overarching talks. And so now what we kind of have are the talks with Arlo and Fletcher. And then we can talk a little bit about going to Chimneycombe with Xanther.
Yes. I think I want to do Arlo first.
I think that's really fair. Kind of maybe
That's
sandwich it, you know what I mean? Hell yeah, you go and you visit Arlo. Again, Arlo's kind of been not as all over the place as they were last year. But you can very easily find them. You know where their room is. They have a private room now because they are a 4th year. And I kind of like the idea that Felyn maybe like scheduled a little hangout to talk to Arlo instead of just going up and being like, "What's wrong with you, bud?" But I imagine you do, and Arlo kind of takes you over to the tavern to a nice little table in the back to sit down and chat and catch up. Obviously, you're not drinking anything heavy. It's so funny because I always think I'm gonna have a better intro to this, but you are a watermelon, so I truly feel like Arlo is just like, how's it?
You will not believe what has happened since we last hung out.
I can only imagine, considering we haven't hung out since after your public debacle.
Oh yes, that little scandal.
I mean, hey, they didn't convict you.
It's true. I am innocent.
Water under the bridge.
I do think over the course of this conversation, she's just gonna keep filling her in with like, so this happened and then this happened, and oh yeah, that happened. And now we're here.
And now we're here. I think the cool thing about talking with Arlo is that there are probably some things that startle Arlo, sure, but Arlo also is the kind of personality, I don't want to say gassing up because that's not technically the correct term, but I feel like is like almost like spinning the yarn with you. And this funny thing will happen where you'll say a thing that's really ridiculous and like Arlo will be very entertained by it, and then say something that's more ridiculous, but it's something that is also true. Unfortunately, because of how wild your life is. And you're like, yeah, actually that did happen.
So wow, are you like a diviner or something? You're really good at this.
I think you're just the most interesting woman I've ever talked to.
No, you flatter me.
You deserve flattery.
I do think she eventually gets to the topic after a very long amount of time of just gabbing. Takes like a sip of her drink. It has been really good getting to catch up with you. I did actually want to ask how you've been doing.
You see that like Arlo kind of starts doing that thing where like they're not technically stirring their drink with their straw, but they're doing that thing where it's like they're pulling the straw out and then pushing it back in, so like the ice is like technically stirring, but it's a very specific visual to me. And you see that she kind of goes to sigh and puts like her hand on her head and is like sipping her little beverage. But he kind of goes, no, saying I should have known is impolite. We do have a good time, and I'm glad to be talking to you again also. Everyone's just been asking me, so.
That's fair.
But, I mean, you've been telling me about all of your escapades. And your escapades. Looks down at your belly. It just doesn't really feel the same this year, I guess. I don't have a lot of gusto in the same stuff that I was doing. Fourth year blues and all that.
It's more than understandable, I would say. I think she thinks for a moment. And then she'll kind of lean on the table and say, okay, well, now I have a different question for you. Would you like to stay at your current level of gusto? Or would you like to try an experiment with me?
I think that Arlo does laugh at that, and he goes, well, you know, chalk it up to a contract to have an experiment for everything. I'll hear you out.
I think we should go out and do new things.
New things.
New things. Whatever we come up with, whatever we see that we haven't done before, but that seems like it would be fun. We will bring it up to one another, we will schedule a day, and we will go do it.
You know, that'll be a little bit hard for both of us to do, given our track record.
It's fine. This way we won't have to wait several months to catch up again.
You know, why not? I think that sounds fun. I certainly will get a chance to do a lot of things that I haven't done, like plane hop, lay an egg. Thank you.
I'm sure there's something we could do for that.
Well, now it's getting interesting.
There are items out there. I do think, since they mentioned plane hopping, I think Felyn would mention that her and Delaney are planning a trip to another plane, and that if Arlo is interested, she can bring it up to Eleni and ask if they'd be down for Arlo to join.
That's a really fun one. I think Arlo is interested. I think that Arlo seems like interest peaked, and then like asks you a little bit about Ixalan, and then is like, you want to know what? I deserve a river cruise.
Yeah.
No hard feelings if they say no, though.
Oh, it's okay. If this ends up being a no, there are plenty of other places we can go to, and we can even go to Ixalan at another time.
I think Arlo seems really like happy about that. I actually think that there's like a small kind of smile on like her face, and I think that they go to kind of like joke with you a little bit, like, oh, the beach is like a 30-minute walk away, you really like to go hop to that beach, at the idea of going to Ixalan separately with them. But I think that they're still very like interested. I think the fact that you're like inviting them out, I think is something that's really nice to them, I think. And spoiler alert, I'll tell you, Eleni wouldn't say no. If it's gonna be a whole big group, then you'll probably have to ask like Motiva, and we'll have to make like a whole like list of who's coming. But like, it would be really fun, you know what I mean? Getting a chance to do something like that with like an Arcavian, because you guys tend to only do that with other planeswalkers.
Yeah.
That's really fun. I like that. Another thing that kind of comes up, and I think that like it comes up after this conversation with Arlo, because I think they kind of have to get like warmed up and maybe like 2 drinks in, right? But I think that's when you start getting a little bit of like the tea about them and Dradio, right? And okay. They would not say that they are like this because he's gone. I think it is very apparent they are like this because he is gone.
Yeah.
And I think, of note, something that they kind of mentioned to you, that's kind of specific to the situation, I think, is that it kind of used to be her always going out of her way to like bother, sure, but also like hang out and spend time with Dradiel. Like, I feel like it was very like introvert, extrovert, and it, like rivals to lovers vibe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now that's not very easy to do. I think that like Arlo kind of realizes that like, well, it's not like he's going out of his way to talk to me as much as like I did him, and like I can't easily find where he lives or go to his games. You know what I mean? It's like their dynamic doesn't really work long distance is basically like the vibe, right? And that's sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do. Oh, go ahead.
Especially because they were never officially together is the thing that's tragic. Because remember, it's a situationship, remember?
That's right.
It's bad. It's bad out here for Arlo. Arlo's in love and doesn't know it.
Arlo. Did I forget. Did I ever meet? How do you pronounce his name again?
Dradiel? I don't think anybody
Dradiel.
did. He was a lorehold, and he was like a sport nerd, right? So I feel like nobody ever was in the same circles as him. I think I've shown what he looks like, but nobody ever officially met him.
Okay. I have to read the description of something really quick.
Okay. I'm gonna go get the picture of Dradiel really quick. He has a token from an official card.
Damn it. Okay.
Oh, was it like a spell for if you've met him?
Yeah, I was. Felyn was about to pull some kind of meddling trick where she cast a dream message on him to be like, text your fucking situationship, send him a letter.
That's so fair.
She's so fucking sad.
Here's Dradiel.
There you are, the nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A very like severe countenance, very like no nonsense, which is kind of why like the situationship worked. Hey, if you ever wanna try to fucking cyber stalk him and roll up and be like, hey.
I was just thinking, is Felyn about to go on a manhunt?
I mean, you could even you could even go as far as to like engineer a way for them to go like meet up and stuff like that. Like, if you want to do something, this is messy school life. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Especially because like I don't technically. Okay, how do I word this? This isn't the same as like a breakup. There is like a very real chance that it will be like a hey, everybody get your shit together and be adults about this, and then happily ever after. You know what I mean? That sounds fun. I'm gonna write that in. Arlo.
That's something that's...
Dradiel hookup arc.
Yeah, it's percolating in the back of her head. The steam is brewing.
But yeah, that's kind of the only thing that's going on with Arlo. It's basically just like, I'm sad he isn't here. I don't really know what to do about it. And things just aren't as fun without him here.
I think Felyn is gonna take a page out of Rowan's book. Just say, who needs a stupid boy anyways?
Who needs a stupid boy? That's so Felyn core. Felyn is a girl's girl.
Yeah.
I think that Arlo is also the type to like, I don't want to say buy into that because it is a true statement. I think that Arlo is very like, yeah, fuck him. Because they're like 2 margaritas in and it's cathartic to talk that way with your bestie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's nice. I think it's really nice because I don't think Arlo gets to talk about it a lot because I think everybody's like, what's wrong with you? And Arlo is like, shut up.
Just had to get him 2 drinks in first.
Literally. I had to be normal. You know what I mean? Arlo has very much the, like, extrovert, like, a specific archetype of, like, queer extrovert that is, like, people talk to for entertainment, but then, like, the minute, like, they aren't, like, as flamboyant, everybody is like, what are you doing? Pokes with stick? You know what I mean? Which is unfortunate, but I love them.
Yeah.
Which is why I really like that you like talking to Arlo. Arlo's one of my custom-made ones, so I really like them.
I like them a lot. They also, I don't know if this was, like, your intent or not, but as someone who has been diagnosed with bipolar, I'm holding them up.
Oh, you want to know what? That wasn't intentional, but I'm doing that. I'm putting the stamp on their forehead.
my manic little she, they, he.
Yeah! It's important. Representation.
It's important.
Points at the camera.
Representation. Yeah, because it's also, I have talked about this with Ash before, but it is like a known thing of people with bipolar that when they either get on meds or when they're in a depressive episode, their friends will just like leave them or harass them for not being quote unquote as fun anymore.
Oh, that's so lame. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is also hitting a note.
You know what? That wasn't intentional, but I aim to please. I'm glad that it's relatable.
Thank you, King.
I see it happen a lot with like token gay best friends, but it's probably because a lot of queer people also end up having mental illness.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of
it's
us.
Also, yeah, it's a lot of us. It's also not like a bipolar specific thing, but it strikes a chord in me.
Yeah, I'm making them bipolar now. Now it is a bipolar specific thing. Sorry to yap on the recording, but that was really fun. That's all I had for Arlo. It's mostly just the one thing, but I like them, so I'm glad that you were interested in finding out what they were doing.
Yeah.
So now do you want to have this maybe depressing conversation with Fletcher?
Yeah, I need to see how he's doing.
Yeah, it's rough out here. I think that like you kind of set up a conversation through River. Over this month, I feel like you have not seen River as distraught as that one time you saw them really upset. Which I think like bodes well potentially to your conversation, but again, you never really know how talking about these things can kind of like kick up upset. But you set up a day where you go and you kind of like hang out with Fletcher, and I'll say maybe it's like not necessarily like a park, but like a seating area somewhere in like Witherbloom. Because they have so many walkways, I assume there has to be like benches and chairs every once in a while. People be fishing and hanging out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you kind of sit down on a dock to talk with him. Most notably, he is not showing, but you also notice, because you're a very like attentive person, that he is wearing a lot more of like looser clothing. He kind of always has. He's kind of always been that trans guy, but like you can't really tell if he's showing, but it doesn't look like it, right? But you kind of go to sit down, and I think Fletcher, I think he brought like a snack. I think that he's like sharing like maybe like some fried beetles with you, and every once in a while he like eats one and like tosses it out to the little river for like a critter to eat.
Nice.
Yeah.
She's definitely partaking. I think that would probably remind her of some Rosona street food.
Yeah, listen. Every day I think about the fried beetles on the menu in Strixhaven, and I'm like, it does sound good, unfortunately.
It does.
But I think that it's kind of quiet for a little bit, unless you think Felyn talks first. But I do think that if there's kind of like a moment of quiet, I think Fletcher would actually kind of open the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think Felyn was kind of going into this with like, kind of in a similar way to Arlo. It's like I'm not just gonna open the gates, being like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
So she's like quiet vibing.
I think that Fletcher kind of opens up No, it feels like unnatural to open up as bluntly as this, but Fletcher is not very good with social graces, so I think it fits regardless. I think that Fletcher kind of like starts with like a quiet kind of question of like, when's the date? Because you're a lot farther along than he is.
It's true. How long is it at this point?
I think you're coming up, by the end of the time skip, you're coming up to like the week.
In that case, I think she like has a hand on her belly and she's like, "Oh, any day now."
That makes sense. I think that I think that Fletcher kind of like nods and like eats another beetle and says, hope it hasn't been too hard. I see you running around all the time. I feel like I just want to sleep these days.
Yes, that is quite relatable. Sadly, my brain does not allow for much rest. It took me a bit of time to be okay with being sat at the bleachers and at the front desk.
I think that kind of gives Fletcher a little chuckle, and I think he kind of like nods and agrees, and kind of like. I think that he says it in a way where he says like a lot more changes than you think. It's a lot to get used to.
She nods. I think there's like a moment of quiet. And she says this kind of like looking out, like at the bog, like reminiscing. And she says, admittedly, this pregnancy is a lot easier than the first one, so far, anyways. It is a different process this time around. Back when I was a tiefling, goodness, the fevers are on.
I think that's something that Fletcher is kind of like really like actively listening to, because I feel like you kind of see you. It's really funny because I had things that he was going to like say to like ask to further that thing along, and then Felyn kept talking about it. So I love the idea that Felyn kept picking up on the fact that he was gonna ask clarifying questions, which I think is very on par for both of them. And he goes to say, "Gosh, I can't imagine. Do they?" And then you see Fletcher like stops for a second before like he tries to re-articulate what he's gonna say, but then he just like shakes his head and says it anyway. Did tieflings really run that hot?
I think that makes her laugh a bit. And she says, you'd be surprised. It's maybe not the hellfires that some people claim, but it's more than average.
He goes to nod a bit. And he, I think, goes to kind of gesture to you. Not quite at your stomach. I think he's a little more polite than that. But he gestures and says, "Oh, how do I want to read this?" I'm having trouble figuring out how he's going to articulate it, but I think that he is going to talk a little bit about because he's a half-elf, it was kind of a toss-up if he would have an egg or not, but it basically looks like he's not going to. Which I think is interesting information.
Yes.
The pause is in character.
I feel like that was one of those moments where Felyn was like expecting him to say something else, and then it doesn't happen, and so she just smiles and says, the processes are different, but the fears and anxieties that come with it are more often than not basically the same.
No kidding. I think the physical changes don't quite get so bad. I think it's just that they remind you of how everything else changes. But you seem to be kind of ready for it, if you don't mind me saying.
I don't mind at all. I'm definitely more ready than I was the first time around. And the first time was planned, mind you. This one wasn't.
I think that's really funny. I think Fletcher kind of makes a little side joke and says, "I didn't even know they happened planned." Which is fair for a 20-something to say.
Yeah. I think she's gonna start being a little more blunt now.
That's fair. Yeah, sorry. He's like that.
No, you're fine. Felyn was going along with this. She's like, yes, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's gonna turn to look at him a little more and say, pregnancies can be different from person to person, the feelings that come with it and the sensations, the symptoms. My experience will more likely than not be the same as yours, but I want you to know that throughout everything, if there's ever any questions or if anyone you just want to talk to, she wiggles her ears. There is a lot of support to be had.
That's really cute. I like Felyn. Oh. I don't think how Fletcher takes it is very apparent. I think that saying Fletcher has his hackles raised is intense to say, but he's always like that. I feel like he's always kind of a little bit on edge around people. He's a very much I am more comfortable talking to the horses type of kid, right? But I think that kind of still stays a little bit, and I think that he goes to nod as he looks out kind of at the swamp around you guys. Quiet except for the kind of lull of the animals around you. And I think that he goes to say, I think he says, a lot of people I think have been saying that I know people are worried, but I don't know what magic you got, but I feel like I believe it when you say it.
Oh. No.
Thanks.
That does make her smile. And probably a little watery-eyed.
Yeah, it's fair.
I think in an attempt to not get swept away by emotional hormones,
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna like take another of the fried beetles and look back out at the bog. And with a big smile, she's just going to say, "We could even make it a trade if you want. When I start getting anxious about the egg getting squished, maybe I can vent you."
I think he laughs at that and he says, sure. You know, at this point I kind of wish it was going to be an egg. Would make it feel a little less well, I know how to handle an egg.
I think in response to that, she will say, well, if you know how to handle an egg, I know how to handle. And then she like pats her belly as a way to say, like, I know how to handle the regular pregnancy.
Yeah.
Maybe we can trade information? Tips, if you will.
I think Fletcher is really starting to look like, I don't want to say amused because that's more refined of an emotion, but I think that you see like a smile kind of like peek out that like he's trying to push down because he thinks it's a little funny. But he says, well, all right, but if I tell you any weird positions, you can't say that sounds demeaning.
I will take any of your wisdom with honor and pride.
I think you're starting to see Fletcher open up a little bit, which I think is really sweet. Which I really like also because it wasn't even like earlier, oh, he's not being receptive, he's just like that. But I think Felyn just has a way of like disarming people with the way that she speaks, and I think that that's really cute.
Aww.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cute. Oh, I skipped over this because technically Fletcher is not super talkative about this topic anyway. But I can also tell you, outside of any other questions or topics you want to talk about here, because he's not having an egg and he's a half elf, I actually have it in my lore that his pregnancy is going to take longer. So it's going to take, I think, a little over a year. Yeah, so not like a year and a half, but just like a little bit more than 12 months.
Write that down.
Yeah, so that's why he's not showing. I forgot off the top of my head how far along he is. I'll have to look that up back up in my notes. It's not directly in front of me, but I'll tell you that. He'll share that with you, I think. I think something that he's gonna say that I think is kind of fun. I think after a while of like talking, I think that he kind of like comes out and says, I'm surprised you're not being like most people and just asking what am I gonna do.
I think Felyn shrugs at that. Says, oh, hang on, the music fucked up.
Oh, sorry.
Is that your fault? Is it too?
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know why I said that.
There we go. Okay. I think she just shrugs. And she says, You're not entitled to tell me what your plans are. Of course, I will be interested if you do tell me, but everybody's entitled to their own way that they want to do things.
Hearing that is a lot nicer than you know. I am surrounded by nosy bitches all the time.
I'm showing much restraint in my nosiness just for you.
It's I guess I'm not against talking about it. It's just a very the last thing you want to hear when you kind of still don't know what's up or down is asking which way you're going. You know?
She nods at that. She says, in my experience, it's also stressful when you do know what you're going to do.
Oh, then I guess there's no no fixing that. I think that he kind of like looks out into the swamp, and I think that there's this kind of like comfortable quiet that settles. And I think that he's gonna say kind of quietly, I think when I have him, I think I'm probably gonna leave.
She nods. What's she gonna say?
Sorry if this conversation is sad.
No, this is very heartwarming conversation.
Nice.
I think she just nods and she says, "If you want any help getting there, just let me know. Whatever there may be."
I'll probably talk to you about that when the plans are a bit more specific. You know how life goes. There's always the easy way or the hard way, but well, we make it work.
Which is very true. Life has many, many possibilities, but I say most of them we get through.
I mean, if we don't, we die, so, I mean, we got only one option, really. And I think he says that kind of like in a funny way where he's like, well, if I die, I die.
If I die, I die. I think that does make Felyn laugh.
Thank you. I love to say that at work. When people are like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know, we're gonna do it or we're gonna die. Yeah. I love this conversation. I'm really glad. I think Fletcher is a mini arc that I really enjoy, a little subplot that I really like. I like him.
I like him.
I like him. I think it's very cool. Obviously, I don't think that you guys chat about it too much this time, but I think over time, since I technically have more information written down, again, I can slowly feed it to you like a little deer. But basically, the thought process is that like Fletcher's biggest worry has already been like, my dad is now taking care of an elf baby, and that baby's gonna be a baby for forever anyway. And now, like, I'm not there to help him, and my dad's getting old because my dad's a human, and also now I have a baby, and I can't really worry about school right now. But also, like, Fletcher didn't technically come here with the, like, intent of graduating. You're meeting a lot of people who are just like, I don't technically need to graduate. I'm just here for information or the experience or because I was invited. And so I think Fletcher's, like, vague plan is, like, the pregnancy is already going to take like a year from now anyway. Might as well stay for like the year, get some more information through Witherbloom, get some certifications maybe, and then just like go and like settle down. This does potentially mean that River might as well. Because River is very big. After that talking to, River is like, I have to support you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But very interestingly enough, when Fletcher mentioned an easy way or a hard way, the easy way would be going back and settling in Silk Meadow. The hard way would be selling all of their animals and their land, converting the money here with Dorica, and settling in Eberron. Which
Wow.
could be neat. Which could be really neat.
That could be neat.
So that's kind of like the thought process. The only thing that is like, again, making Fletcher be like, oh, but that would be so much, is because they already have like a successful farm right now. And you can't really take like the land or the animals or anything, but the opportunities is very interesting. And like, I mean, when you're a farmer, you don't need a diploma. You just need to know how to farm. You know what I mean? But that's basically it. Yippee!
I do like to imagine that when they get through the bulk of like baby and pregnancy talk, Felyn does just start trying to ask him questions about like, how are your classes going? What's your favorite thing right now?
That's cute.
So that they didn't just meet for baby talk. She's like, I want to also just like be a friend right now, you know?
Yeah, he definitely assumed it was only going to be at the bath baby. He was like, everybody's only talking about with this damn baby.
Damn baby.
This damn baby. I think that his classes are going fine. I don't think that he's a particularly stellar student, but he's not like flunking any of them, which is cool. He has a pretty full workload, I think, but not even because he's like an academic overachiever. It's just because Witherbloom has a lot of classes that benefit his interests. You know what I mean? He actually mostly so the interesting thing about Fletcher is that, yeah, he's a homegrown farm boy, right? But his thing specifically is like animal husbandry over like growing things out of the ground. So he's doing a lot of like cool stuff about like learning about pests and learning about how to like basically like conservation style classes of like how do you interact with wildlife in a way that's not like damaging, you know what I mean? The genealogy and breeding of water horses, you know, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Which like some of it is a bit over his head, but it's very illuminating, I think, because he was like, I mean, I learned a lot of this, but I never knew why it happened, you know? I think that would be his answer about his schoolwork.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. But that's all I had for Fletcher. And so now we have the kind of section where you get to visit Chimneycomb and I get to lore dump about Chimneycomb with Xanther. So, yippee! So the Xanther thing. I wanted it to be... At first I was going to make it really elaborate, but then I was like, I kind of like the idea of having you have a bit more control over controlling your stay, because Xanther would not be like, I am making you go on the circuit I'm planning because he is really high energy. I think that he's the kind of person that planned an itinerary and is like, this would be so fun. And he's like, wait, what if she wants to sit down for 3 hours? And then he threw it out.
Aww.
And now he just has a bunch of locations he can take you, or things to like that you can do together. But I think it's really cute. I think he tells you about it and he's like, haha, yeah, silly me. And Felyn was like, wait, no. And he was like, if you try to run after me, I'm getting you.
That's fair. I think she will ask him like if he has like a top 5 list of things that he like really wanted to do.
And he would. Okay, so So I really like Chimneycomb. I think Chimneycomb is really cool. On the map, it's kind of like in the mountains, but in a more deserty area. It's actually kind of close to Silk Meadow. You can see Silk Meadow from Chimneycomb. Because Chimneycomb is kind of like a city built on a bunch of plateaus. I would compare it visually to like, let me get to it. The mountains around it kind of look like this if it was a little bit more dusty. And the town is built on top of them, and then sometimes there are bridges to take you over them to get to other parts of town. There's also a little bit of town that is like underground or like on the sides of cliffs, but not very many. It's they have enough space to outwardly expand just on top. Information about Chimneycomb is that it's the second most popular vacation destination, so there's a lot of touristy stuff, but it's not as like pristine as Silk Meadow. When you hear about Silk Meadow is a lot of like the surrounding agricultural area and then a really fancy town, right? And then Chimneycomb is a really big city that people think is really cool, right? Their biggest export is also their biggest like art and like cultural thing that they do is mosaic tiles and glass blowing. Those are the two big things. So there's a lot of like white sandstone architecture, but a lot of places will either have paved roads with like really brightly colored mosaic tiles, or like the sides of buildings will have like be tiled with like these really colorful tiles. So it's very pretty, I think.
Yeah.
I think, okay, two things. Sorry, this is really scattered. Two big things that I think Xanther really wanted to do with bringing you to Chimneycomb that I think are really cute is that he would have liked to kind of have this be almost like a... He's not dating you, so using this term is technically incorrect, but it's basically like a baby moon. It's like a last vacation before you have to take care of a baby.
Aww.
So he actually would give you like money a la baby shower, right?
Aww.
So from him, you also get about 50 gold to spend on anything you want.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was gonna pick out items, but I think that he would have like gone to pick out a gift and he would be like, wait, she's spending a lot of money right now. Which I think is really fun. And then I also think that he would have been really excited to like have you meet his parents.
Aww, she would be delighted by that.
I just think it's really cute. Because like you're in his hometown.
Yeah.
Come meet my mom. You know what I mean?
Come meet my mom. Yeah.
And I think that you get to have a nice little dinner at like his house with like his mom, his stepdad, and then he has 4 siblings that are all younger than him. I wanted to have more lore on them, but I got decision paralysis about what to prep for. With Chimneycomb, because it's a huge town. But if you wanted, I am more than willing to set up like another mini session after this to do more with it for you, depending on how long you want to stay. Actually, how long do you want to stay over in Chimneycomb? Actually, hey, how long of this month do you want to stay in Chimneycomb?
That's a very good question.
It is a good question.
I think, because I'm having trouble remembering the timeline, if there's like a period of time between when classes are over and then we have the finals for it, any amount of time that would, if it's like more than a day, any amount of time between that, she'd be like, we're staying here.
I'm whipping out the calendar. So, the way that this timeline is basically working, which we don't have to do it this way. We can technically come back at the start of exams. I'm having you guys come back basically on like the last day of class to have like crunch week, which is a free week dedicating to getting ready for exams, and you can do anything you want to get ready for them. So I don't think anyone would blame you for taking a couple days, because the cool thing about classes is that they're really modular. I'm accounting for you guys being gone all the time. So
Slay.
like taking like a week or even just like a couple days on like the last class before finals, which feels to me very much like last week of school where nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Any amount of time around there could be really cute. And sorry, I'm looking at the calendar. I just remembered something. If you want, I would have to prep this, but this is a really cute idea. During the time skip is actually Will and Rowan's birthday. If you want to do anything for Will's birthday, that would be kind of cute.
Oh, absolutely. She's gonna do something for both of them.
That'd be so cute. Giselle's birthday also happened. I'll probably float that by Ash in case Motiva wants to do anything about it. So yeah, you can basically decide however long you want to be in Chimneycomb, and then I can prep situations, encounters even.
I feel like 3 is a good solid number. Like 3 days.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if she's not feeling all that stressed about the class, then she'll probably take like 4 or 5 days and just have part of it bleed into the weekend.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea actually. Okay, cool. Yeah, we could do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we could fold in a free day. So then what the timeline would probably look like is Will's birthday. Next day is free day, start Chimneycomb, then you miss 3 days of class, and then you come back and you finish out the class.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. I'm writing that down. That sounds really fun. Again, sorry if this is cringe. I'm also rusty. I'm rusty dusty every time I have to do session prep.
No, it's totally okay. This has been great. I'm so happy to be back here.
I love Strixhaven. I love the characters so much. Prep, Will, birthday, and 4-day stay in Chimneycomb. Awesome. And I'll make a bunch of lore about his family because I think that sounds really fun. Because that's your fucking bestie. You love that guy.
It's my bestie. This does mean that she's gonna fucking look at Xanthan and be like, you have to meet my family.
He would be like, dude, sign me up. He would be so excited to meet your family. I think your family would actually really like Xanther.
Absolutely, they would love him.
That's their kind of guy.
Literally.
Why aren't you bringing home this one? Somebody
She brings Xanther over. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead and say your thing first.
I was gonna say, Felyn brings Xanther over like one time, and then she comes back next week without him, and then half the den is like, well, where did he go?
Yeah, where's Xanther? People are immediately trying to hook him up with the one single changeling in your den.
Yeah.
Which would be really funny. I can't believe you're about to gain 4 new den mates and a baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The den is ever growing, baby.
That's the way it goes, and I love it. If there's anything that you can kind of think about that you would love to either discuss or talk about or have Felyn do or like walk through, this is a perfect time. Now we're just chilling. Now we're just talking about Felyn because I love her.
Just straight vibing. I can't think of much. I think for the Chimneycomb trip, I think she can appreciate and respect that Xanther didn't just set up the whole itinerary and is like, no, you choose.
Uh-huh.
I do think she is still, for the most part, gonna follow him. Like, she's gonna set the parameters of like,
Mhm.
okay, top 5 things. We're keeping it loosey goosey. If I need to sit, I will sit on God,
On God.
on the light. I will be sitting
On the light, I will be sitting at any point.
at any point. But otherwise, I think she's mostly just letting him be the one to like lead around and choose where they're going.
I think that sounds really cute, and I
She,
can definitely work with that.
yeah, she does make a point that like we have to go gift shopping.
Have
We
to.
have to.
Souvenirs. You have so many people to buy souvenirs for now.
Literally. It's like that one, I think it's Japan, where like if you go on a trip somewhere, whenever you come back, you have to give something to your coworkers.
Yeah.
But instead it's to all of your friends.
All of your friends. I love it. I like that Felyn does that every time because it's literally every time, and I can bank on it, and I think it's really cute.
Yeah.
Because it's also
Her love
like,
language is giving.
and it's also like, yeah, you're usually going to other planes and other towns for situations, but also like you're being a tourist, and that's cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really cute. I really like that. Hell yeah, I'm gonna set that up. And then, was there anything else I needed to ask you about with this time skip? Clarifying on recording so I can always find it again. Felyn's birth plan is to be a teacher's aide, essentially.
Yeah, she's gonna let the students do their thing.
Nice. Okay, awesome. I still think that's really cute and really fun. Very Felyn core.
Yeah. It's a learning opportunity.
It is. You don't have someone give birth on campus every day. That is really cute. Do you... Obviously, we can kind of go through this if we have the moment, because I think I've told you it's a little bit variable, the exact day it's going to happen. You know, like real life. Do you think that there is something you would like Felyn to like immediately do kind of like after that? Do you think it would be like, I'm holding up on campus, I'm going home, am I bringing everybody with me?
I think she would want to have like at least a day or two of just rest and just kind of staying in her nest with the egg and preferably Eleni. But I think after that, she is pretty much immediately gonna grab Eleni and go home. I think she would also invite, like Will and the Fae Motiva specifically.
Okay, that's cute. I like that.
But yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think she doesn't have a lot of specific plans other than just the rest and then den time. And I think she's probably gonna have a prolonged visit to the den after the egg is born, like longer than usual.
And I think that tracks. I think that that's fair. Also, putting that out there, I'm not gonna have to make you worry about healing at all. It's truly vibes. That would be too much for me. But I really like that, and I think that that's really fun. That's good for me because like then I can make you have the most enjoyable experience with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What that probably will look like is like, I don't want to call it a time skip because it won't be like one where it's like, and then we get out of game and it takes forever to do it. It'll probably just be like a condensed amount of time where it's like we have a couple scenes, but it's like, you know, we don't have to go through the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Just because I don't want everybody to have to listen to me narrate birth. That would be intense, you know?
It's a lot.
But I'm really excited. And I think Felyn is really cool, and I'm really excited. I think what I like the most, and I always think about it when we're in game. This is just me talking above table now. But like, I think that the way you guys think about your characters interacting with the world is really cool, because it's not even just like, oh, people are interacting with the stuff that I make. That's really cool. It's like, I truly am here to like watch you guys in a little terrarium that I made, and I'm like more excited to see what you guys are doing than just, oh, they really liked the leaf I put in this corner. You know what I mean? I like this.
Yeah. I like them. I like this terrarium. I like this environment.
I do. I like it a lot. I think there's a lot of really fun ideas that I think will be really fun to like talk about. If you're interested, I can go ahead and cut the recording. We got about 2 hours of session time, and we can be like, Ash, come over here. Let's talk about Strixhaven.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna stop recording.